one of the arguments that the other side gives is, fine, we're decriminalizing it. That's all that you need. Why do you need to get an approval for marriage? Why do you need, all of the other rights that come in? We are decriminalizing it. Live your life. Go ahead.
See, I think what is important we need to realize in India is, as a democracy, all our top political leaders, and I would say nearly 90% of them, they've been harping and talking about inclusivity and diversity. We've just had our elections and we all know what the results have been. And in India, you have some of the top political leaders, claiming that they are Janta ka Sevak. They talk about acceptance and inclusivity. I mean, Thailand has shown what inclusivity and diversity means. That's one thing which is a stark reminder. I think what we need in India is that we need politicians, we need political parties, we need our parliamentarians who understand what the problem the LGBTQ plus community faces. And when we talk of inclusivity, I mean, inclusivity means for everyone, not just for a select few. So marriage equality is important, and that's exactly what
Neil,
the Supreme Court...
do you think the younger ones, the younger politicians do understand that, or they do have that openness?
Absolutely.
But perhaps they're just, they just have to toe the line when it comes to the political party line?
You actually asked a very interesting question. And, after the Supreme Court ruling, I mean, me and my partner of 20 years, we were part of the petitioners, So we were a little let down by the SC ruling. But yes, I mean, some of the observations that the Supreme Court made were important. And if you remember right, in October, the Supreme Court was of the view that the parliamentarians are the one who must decide on bringing in gender equality and same-sex marriages, through a consensus. In fact, Justice Bhatt also said that the centre's high-powered committee must take a call on making policy changes. But has anything happened till date? In fact, we've had elections, and if you see how many political parties had anything to do with, LGBTQI rights or even gender equality rights, and when I say gender, I include women. It's how many of them
I
even
agree with you, Neil, on this, but also I think perhaps the onus lies on us as well. How many of us actually question our politicians when they come and ask for our vote?
To be honest, I did.
Whether it's about LGBTQ plus issues.
And
sure,
I'm
sure you did, but not a lot of people like you actually did take up the issue when they asked for our votes. But Paras, when it comes to Thailand, and I was reading this somewhere, it's very important and crucial that it also has a lot, this decision to legalize same-sex marriage also has a lot to do with the kind of economics involved in Thailand's revenue, in the kind of revenue that is generated in tourism and welcoming all sorts of people, not just restricting to a particular community, but welcoming everybody from across the world to come into Thailand.
I mean, commerce is most certainly a very big reason, and I'm sure it is also a very big incentive for that country. Like I was talking about marijuana, that's also a very big reason people go there. The same is with this. For a lot of people, imagine you're going to a country where you are not being treated like a criminal every single day. You can walk into spas, you can walk into gay clubs. I mean, I've been out and about since I was the age of 18. But even here, when I go to a club, and you do have gay parties in Mumbai, you have gay parties in Delhi, but it's definitely not the same because there's always something around us which even now doesn't necessarily make you feel completely free. But in a place like this, 100% tourism, but the other thing with the marriage bit,
because when that one judgmental gaze is enough.
Well, gaze, interesting, that choice of words there. But, the part is when you talked about the fact that why, after decolonization, why do you need this? Today, we're good looking, we're healthy. It's very easy for us to get partners. When we're getting older, I want to be able to get into a hospital and my partner should have that right. I want to be able to buy property together. One of the things that the gay community is accused of very often, unfortunately, is promiscuity. Why? Because there's nothing socially binding us. When you've got a union, when you can really say, hey, this man is now I'm committing to this man, there is some sort of a social construct that comes in. I'm a 40-year-old CEO and a founder. My company did 300 crores last year. I'm always thinking of the fact that I want to have a baby. But there's nothing I can do in this country today to be able to have that legacy pass on. One of my most primal paternal instincts is something I cannot follow. So when people talk about the fact that why do you want marriage, just like you have a right and everyone else has a right to raise that family, when they say homosexual people can be depressed, sad, suicidal, no matter what I do, my partner is just I can just change my partner at any time because there's nothing really binding us. And I think that is where Thailand is setting an example because, hey, we beyond just, when you talk about homosexuality, everyone just thinks it's promiscuities and gay parties and masquerades and charades and whatnot. But we're also people who are looking for love, commitment, to be able to be together. And I think that is what marriage equality will do. The one other thing about lesbians, which is so interesting, I was in a gym in Delhi and I was shooting. This girl walked up to me and she said, all you gay boys have taken our thunder, because she said the fact is the gay boys still get represented, but lesbians in this country have zero representation. And I thought that was such a valid point. So I'm hoping we can move towards that.
Yeah. Neil, how far do you think we are from actually reaching where, Paras is talking about, where people will not be looked at judgmentally and they will be accepted for who they are?
I think it's just a question of time. I think all of us know that love is love and we are on the right path, and the Supreme Court actually said it, that it's for the parliamentarians. Now, we have approached some of them. Some of them are very, very positive and supportive. Let me be honest, some of them actually are very supportive, but they're a little wary and scared as to what will someone senior from the party say for their own views. Some of them have actually come out in support. But the point here, what I'm trying to say is, we need to have policies which are inclusive, not wait for a catastrophe to happen and then try and draft policies, We have been trying to do that for a long time. And I think it's just a question of time, It will happen. It's happened all over Southeast Asia. I mean, you have 3 or 4 countries which are on their way. They have legalized same-sex marriages and unions. And I don't think India will be very far. I am quite positive about it. And that was one of the reasons why we actually decided to petition in the Supreme Court.
Can I also ask you, it's actually quite, heartening, if that's the right word to use, for you to say that it's just a matter of time. Of course, love is love, but, doesn't it get frustrating when you have to wait for so long just for the basics?
I totally agree with what you say because, I'm 50 plus, my partner is 60 plus. We've had lovely 20 plus years together. And in fact, it's a little disheartening, but I can share it with you all because you'll be able to understand. He's going to get a Lifetime Achievement Award in the US in September. He's a neurologist and I'm a journalist. And he just said, I wish you were there with me when I'm getting the award. And I said, yes, but I'm busy with elections and all these things over here. I've applied for the US visa. Now, it's a very basic thing, but, had I been straight or for a heterosexual couple, if you're a married woman, it just comes by default. Do you understand? Although he and I have been married in London, but in India, there's no validity. When we are outside the world, we are treated on par with other couples, And here I'm waiting, so I have to write a detailed explanation of what is the status of my relationship with him, and we are still waiting. How inclusive is this? Or how equal? When I say these are very important words, equality and inclusive, which our constitution talks about, which we take for granted. And those who took for granted, they saw the results, So that is very, very important. And I think that's what the younger generation, whether you're straight or LGBTQ, does not matter. What they want is to embrace their identity and celebrate love. I think that is important. So,
Absolutely.
Coming back to your question,
and I'd like
yes,
to wrap
it hurts.
This up
but
on this note on this note of love and hope, Neil, I'd like to wrap this up.